It's time for Southern Fried Baseball, presented by College Baseball Central. Hosted by Jake McKeever as he talks everything SEC baseball and more.
Welcome back, folks. It is a great day ahead as tomorrow we are already in week 2 of SEC play. It's going to be the first of those Thursday games. Andrew and Micah, two guys that got to meet in person last night. We'll start with you, Andrew. How are we doing today?
Doing good. Looking forward to some pretty big series this weekend.
It is kind of ironic that Andrew's in Lamar stuff and Micah's in Tulane stuff.
Are you wearing the Lamar gear? I didn't realize it. Let's go. Fire me up.
And then Micah's in the Tulane gear despite Andrew being closer to Tulane. Micah, how are we doing today? How was the I-10 drive for you?
Dude, I hate I-10 West so much. I hope I-10 in Louisiana, like they need to, Andrew, I don't know how I think you've lived in Louisiana most of your life. Maybe you have, maybe you haven't. I don't know. But that is the worst. Like I drive a lot. I-10 might be like in Louisiana, the worst stretch of interstate I've ever. I have more times I spend 8 hours on that road than I do 3 hours, or 4 hours, like I'm supposed to.
Yeah, it's
like,
terrible.
Like if it weren't for the fact that I was able to get into the box today, I would have been miserable that whole drive.
Yeah. How was the box today? Was it
It was cool. A good time? Shout out to that LSU, like she's like the front desk worker for the facility. She's like, yeah, go on in, have fun. I'm like, I don't think this is supposed to be that way, but I'll take it. So
that is absolutely awesome. But let's go ahead and jump into it just because I think that there's going to be a lot to talk about. We have 8 SEC series like we always do. 2 on Thursday. We're going to start with those. Tennessee travels to Sewell Thomas Stadium to take on the Alabama Crimson Tide on the fringe of the top 10. It is sold out all 3 weekends as Tennessee is coming to town. Rob Bond has been pleading to the Alabama faithful to come out and be rowdy. We're going to get what everybody wants. We're going to get Liam Doyle and Zane Adams on Friday night. Andrew, is that the game you're most excited for? Because all 3 of these are kind of intriguing pitching matchups.
Yeah. I'm really excited to see this Tennessee. This is their first true road test. I'm really excited to see how Doyle does on the road against this Alabama lineup. Yeah,
and it's a new Liam Doyle, quote unquote, because a lot of people in baseball media were kind of shitting on him. Yeah. Saying, those first 4 weeks or first 5 weeks are like spring training. I'm going to need a little bit more time before I move Liam Doyle up into my draft board. Micah, other than Liam Doyle, what do you think stands out to you about this series between Alabama and Tennessee?
I think the Saturday pitching matchup might be one of the best ones we'll see all year. The way Marcus
Saturday
Phillips
is in
been going,
Riley Quick and Marcus Phillips, or Saturday is in the opener for Tennessee?
Isn't Phillips going Saturday?
No, because it's a Thursday, Friday, Saturday.
Oh, sorry. You're right. Game 2. My bad. I'm mixing up what Sorry, I'm an ACC guy. I'm kind of used to these not being on Thursdays. I don't know why the SEC does this. If someone can explain to me why, let me know in the comments or something.
Money.
That's why.
I guess so. I mean, I'm not going to lie. I am excited to have things to watch tomorrow that are going to be enjoyable. But anyways, the Friday game. Thank you, Jake. Game 2 with, Marcus Phillips looking the way he has for Tennessee. I mean, Tennessee probably had the best thing that could have happened to them last night happen by losing to ETSU. I really that's the part that obviously I believed in my ETSU boys, but a part of me also was like Tennessee needs to lose at some point. And if I'm Tennessee, right, what would you rather do? Drop a midweek against ETSU, an in-state team that, I mean, at the end of the day, right, doesn't really hurt you. And heck, half the fan base for Tennessee are also ETSU alums. So they're not going to be super mad at you for losing that game. Or lose a weekend in Alabama. I think we know the answer to that question. So
I did have a funny tweet, Micah. I don't know why Texas fans and Tennessee fans both get super triggered by the block T in our graphics that we do. But every single week, those fucks argue. And with one of the Tennessee fans, he goes, everybody I know thinks of Tennessee because of the block T. I'm like, did all of your friends go to Tennessee? And the guy goes, no, we all went to ETSU. I was like, let me pull up the picks here just because I know that we'll have the graphic coming out tomorrow. Caleb is not here, unfortunately. Let me see. Micah, you have Tennessee. Andrew and I both have Bama, and Caleb has Tennessee. Andrew, I know why I picked Bama, but why did you end up picking Bama?
I truly believe in this Alabama lineup now. I truly believe that the Alabama fans are going to get out there. You hit on it earlier. Tomorrow, the basketball team plays at 11 a.m. So all those fans get to wake up early, get nice and enjoy hopefully an Alabama win, and then they get to go watch some really good baseball. And I think that Alabama's just on a really hot track, and Tennessee's going to be it's a train on train collision course, and I think Alabama comes on top.
Yeah, I will say this. I know that we talked a lot about how good that Florida Tennessee series was on paper. We definitely downplayed the injuries that Florida had from a bullpen standpoint. Alabama, I will say this. The bullpen has been a little bit shaky. Bobby Adcock on Saturday, if you will, pitched the game of his life last weekend against Alabama. When I went into some of the numbers with the tracker and stuff, it actually really wasn't that impressive. So it'll be interesting to see if he can kind of back that up. Again, Tennessee's not going to have the advantage in that game 3. This Tennessee team doesn't have a ton of holes. Micah, if you were to see Tennessee drop this series, how do you think it would be?
I think you get the same type of pitching performance you got from Alabama starters this past weekend against A&M. I mean, every single guy went 5 or 6, kind of did their job pretty. I mean, at the end of the day, right, Zane Adams outpitched Ryan Prager. You had obviously Bobby Alcock have the game of his life. He was the SEC pitcher of the week. I mean, I remember going into that game, Jake, I was like, there's no shot Alabama wins this game on Sunday unless, again, like it just comes into a slugger fest and Alabama's able to hang. But, it's funny. Like, I actually feel really bad for that A&M pitching staff. They actually did a really good job on Sunday and they still lose that game. So, from that standpoint, I think it just really comes down to whether or not Tennessee can win those the starting pitching matchup, because I mean, I think they have the advantage on Friday for sure. And then Saturday, I mean, the way Marcus Phillips has been pitching, it's a lot more closely contested than it probably felt 2 or 3 weeks ago, on Friday, game 2. But yeah, I mean, it's going to be, that's what's awesome. Is it really is must-watch TV, which is going to be great. And I know I'm excited for it.
I know. I really can't wait. Mike and you and I touched on it this past week when we got to see Alabama. They really did a fantastic job running up that pitch count of Ryan Prager, Justin Lampkin, and even to some extent Miles Bailey. I will say this. I think if they're going to beat this Tennessee team, it starts with taxing the bullpen. And just because I think that Tennessee, the bullpen really hasn't had a lot of these close games. I know they got it a little bit in Houston. I know that Florida gave them a little bit of a scare on Sunday, but I'm interested to see if you can make this bullpen get taxed when I know that they've brought back guys on short rest and used them twice a weekend, but it really hasn't been like that difficult, I would say. Obviously, they dropped that one to East Tennessee State. Ainsley was great in that game, and they're still getting it from all up and down the lineup. It's a complete split for us. I think Alabama's going to win this one, but again, I think it could go either way. Our other Sunday or Thursday game is just the complete inverse, I think, of Tennessee, Alabama. Texas A&M heads to Hawkins Field to take on the Vanderbilt Commodores. A&M sits at 0-3 in the SEC, while Vanderbilt sits at 1-2. Let me double check and see what everybody picked on this one, just because I have it in front of me. I went with Texas A&M. Caleb went with Texas A&M. Andrew went with Vandy, and Michael went with Texas A&M. Andrew, since you're the lone wolf in this one, we'll start with you. What do you see about this Vanderbilt team that makes you want to do it? Is it more you got burned by A&M and you're not going to let it happen to you, or do you think it's more about this Vanderbilt Commodores team?
I think it's this Vanderbilt lineup starting to turn it around. The bullpen kind of let them down last Sunday. But I'm fully hopping on the Brody Johnson hype train for this year. He's been phenomenal. RJ Austin's been his usual self. On the starting side for Vanderbilt, it'll probably be J.D. Thompson tomorrow, and then Cody Boker on Saturday, and then probably a bullpen game Friday. They've been struggling with their game 2 starter, so I wouldn't be surprised if Corbin flipped that around. But I'm kind of hopping onto this offense. It looks like it's picking up at the right time. I'm gonna hope that this pitching comes up and figures it out too.
Yeah, for me, I went with Texas A&M just because one, I'm still kind of a little bit hesitant with Vandy. They really don't bang the ball around the yard like I know that they were supposed to. They really don't play a Tim Corbin brand of baseball. I know you and I talked about that on Monday, Andrew. But I think the one thing that really is that A&M is still kind of tinkering with that lineup. I think eventually, if you keep hitting, you're going to get that 21 that Michael Early is just continually chasing in blackjack. Um, Ben Royo came in for Sawyer Farr at second base. It'll be interesting to see if he stays there. Blake Binderup came into left and looked abysmal. I think they'll go back to that freshman that we saw, Micah. It's a weird A&M team because they're not going to hit a million home runs in a weekend. Honestly, they really haven't hit anything. I'm trusting A&M against a pitching staff because I feel like the pitching staff, from what they saw last week, drops a considerable amount. Mike, is that what you're seeing? Or are you just blindly picking the Aggies because you're refusing to be wrong and you're like, if A&M's good, Virginia will be good?
No, so I think the biggest thing that sticks out to me, I'm probably a known Vandy hater at this point. I don't have them ranked. I haven't had them ranked in a while. Again,
I haven't either,
Auburn,
for what it's
I had
worth.
Auburn winning that series. I haven't been high on them all year. I agree with Andrew. I got to watch Brody a lot this summer. He was a Greenville Flyboy in the Appalachian League, which, by the way, plug in the All-Star game, which he was a part of. But it was like the lineup besides him and RJ Austin's not hitting. Like A&M's the worst hitting team in the SEC. Vanderbilt's the third worst. And then when you look at the pitching numbers, A&M's in the top three. Vandy is in the bottom half. So for me, like, I just don't try. Again, you mentioned it, Andrew. There's a good chance, right? You have a bullpen game on Friday. That's advantage A&M. Thursday,
Yeah, they don't have a bullpen game
A&M.
ever.
And honestly, the advantage for A&M is probably all 3 days on the mound. And then obviously the bullpen for A&M's been shaky, but Vanderbilt's hasn't been that much better. And again, I think A&M's getting better and better at kind of figuring out who to go to, right? Like they're kind of almost like process of elimination, like who can we put in what situations. I'm really hoping to see some progression from this coaching staff of maybe not playing matchups as much and maybe just reading the room. Obviously that Luke Jackson conversation on game 1 is still going to be talked about by a lot of A&M fans from this past weekend with Alabama. So I think for me, it's just, I just like the pitching staff much better for A&M. I agree with Jake too. Eventually they're going to figure this out. I'd like where they're putting Keel in the 4th spot. I think that's been a nice change for A&M. So I think it's going to be something to kind of just track, but the pitching advantage leans them. And I'm not trying to be a jerk. There's no such thing as home field advantage at Vanderbilt, so I'm not really worried about environment.
Yeah, I'm not really sure.
There is a whistler that's going to drive you nuts, but other than that, like, you'll be all right.
I haven't seen him in a while, by the way. Hopefully he's okay. I actually haven't seen him in like a. But
you'll hear him tomorrow. You'll hear him.
Yeah, I'm sure. I'm probably going to have that one on the smaller TV. But I will say this, Micah. You pulled that stat about them allowing 11 runs in their losses. Obviously, it looks a little bit better. They're still, I think, top 4 in the country in terms of ERA, just based off the starting pitching. Miles Patton wasn't his sharp self, and he only allowed a run. That's what's so crazy to me. I think Weston Moss has really kind of figured it out. I know that when we saw him in Houston, his body language just looked abysmal every time he threw a changeup. He was like super, super hype every time he came in. Like, remember that double play that he turned with Sawyer Farr? Like, he was screaming coming off. I think that the bullpen of all teams, I think that they need to have a fake it till you make it type of mentality. Because, like you said, like I got ridiculed before, they don't have a ton of talent. But at the end of the day, like, I think confidence goes a long way. Andrew, you were more of a bullpen guy. Do you think that is a real thing that you can almost fake it till you make it with the bullpen?
Yeah. I mean, especially in shorter stints in the bullpen. I think Michael Early has like kind of outcoached himself with like trying to play matchups here and there. You just gotta let your bullpen guys go out there and figure it out on their own. I mean, I know we're entering SEC plays, but Texas A&M's bullpen, the guys in their bullpen are way too good to just be like outthinking themselves. They like we talked about Luke Jackson, Weston Moss. They just got to get out there and literally just do their thing. They don't need to think about it. Just go out there, execute their pitches, and yeah.
One more note before we move on to the next one. Bear Alexander hit 2 home runs for Texas A&M. out of that catching spot. Hopefully he can kind of keep the momentum going, because I know that you and I talked about it, Micah. That's just been a black hole in the lineup. We'll move on to, I would say, the series of the weekend if Alabama and Tennessee didn't exist. Number 2, LSU heads to Dish Falk to take on number 7, Texas. This is the first time in the SEC that LSU is going there. I think it's going to be TBD from a time standpoint, just because I think that there's a dust storm rolling through Austin. Could it be the curse of Alex Day, as he hasn't been credentialed, Micah? Where do you see in this series kind of going?
I'm so torn because, right, I've been a believer of Texas more than anyone. I have them in my top 10. I feel like this team is capable of a lot, but I know it's a midweek game, but what I saw last night, Jake, kind of felt like some of the concerns I've had with Texas when they potentially run into like a buzzsaw per se. But then I try to remind myself that, they did just go to one of the toughest environments in the SEC and sweep. So clearly they're capable of, you don't think Duty Noble's one of the toughest environments in the SEC, Jake?
I'm going to be honest with you. I think it's the best stadium in the SEC. It's the best fans in the SEC, but no, they're too nice. I mean, you saw that. Like, I saw a bunch of people quote tweeting like, "Oh yeah, like I love when the opposing team waves bye to me and then we feed them." Like, I don't think it's really that tough of a place to play. Like, LSU's gone in there and swept it before, and it wasn't even that good of an LSU team.
That's fair. Well, anyways, I just think that going to Austin, I think it's going to be an incredible environment, barring the weather kind of maybe scaring some people off. But I feel like the environment at Dish Falk is going to be incredible. I know people are dying for, the start of SEC play from their standpoint. I'm still not completely sold on LSU. Maybe I just haven't watched them enough. I mean, it's so hard for me to buy into them when their strength of schedule is like playing JV baseball all year. I mean, they've literally played nobody.
I will say that's not entirely their fault, because Nebraska.
I'm not blaming them, but like I'm saying though, like you can't buy into beating North Dakota State. Like if that's the case, so let's rank Lamar, because we smoked them worse than LSU did. Like it just doesn't. I'm not saying LSU is not capable. I put them number 2. I still think this team's very good, but you're going to Austin. You haven't really, like, the toughest environment you've played in was a glorified home game in Texas against Kansas State.
I think the DBU game was a little bit tougher.
Like, but I'm saying like that was like the environment.
That was more LSU fans, though, not that many or DBU fans.
Yeah, I think there's going to be a lot of LSU fans this weekend.
I'm not saying there's not going to be, but it's going to be the first time all year they have not had the majority of fans. I would be shocked if LSU takes over.
So when I went to LSU for the midweek, when did they win the national championship? Was that 23?
23.
Yeah, it was a big chunk of LSU fans, and they were a lot rowdier than Texas. Granted, I think James Sauce-Nichols built new life into this program, and I think it's going to be a tough environment. For me, this series, I know this is probably going to come back to bite me in the ass, because one of these teams is 21-1, and one of them is 17-2. But I feel like I'll know more about the loser of this series than the winner of this series. Like, this is kind of LSU's first true test. It's Texas's first true test since that opening weekend. And I'm going to be honest with you. I don't think they've really looked that good through their out-of-conference slate. I know that they've won a lot of games, but Mike, you and I have talked about it, how they've had to come back. The whole series with Dartmouth, granted it was cold, but I think that this is a statement in the wrong direction for the loser of this series.
Yeah, I mean, I'm probably more concerned about Texas if they lose this weekend than I am LSU. Again, I mean, now if LSU gets swept, then we can start having that conversation. But, I mean, I think at the end of the day, like, going on the road in the SEC is never going to be easy, no matter really who it is. Minus, it's like there's 2 or 3 schools in the SEC that I'm maybe not too concerned about going to. But even then,
like 5.
But even then, like sleepy environments are sometimes almost worse than hostile environments.
It's not sleepy. I should say that Texas is not a sleepy.
No, I know. But I'm saying though, like I'm just going through like like going on the SEC, going on the road in the SEC is tough. There's like 2 or 3 places that I think are like not necessarily hostile, but even then, if they're sleepy, then it's almost kind of in a way its own type of hostile because like you have to create your own energy.
Yeah, I would say that.
But I mean, at
I
the end
will
of the
say
day-
this. I think Texas beats them in the Ianson start. I think
Okay.
that's almost a guarantee because the way the Texas lineup is constructed, I mean, it's Jim Schlossnagle's offense to a T. Like they waited out. I pulled the stat today that they have the lowest swing rate on strikes. And that's really kind of been Anthony Ianson's Achilles heel is when he hasn't looked good, it's been because he hasn't been able to locate those secondary pitches. And then outside of that, it's what Texas is going to do on Friday night with Jared Spencer. Obviously, Jared Spencer, Kate Anderson, that's going to be a really intriguing matchup because, again, I think it's a litmus test for both starters. And then on Sunday, it's really kind of just up in the air, I would say, for LSU. Obviously, you don't know which Chase Shores you're going to get. 10 walks in 23 innings.
That's where I have them. That's where like I have LSU winning this, obviously, but I could easily see them I can see Texas taking Saturday and Sunday because Ianson and Shores have been so inconsistent.
Yeah, and here's the other thing too. I know that when I talked to Alex, he said their walk numbers were really high, but he was like, "Yeah, like take it with a grain of salt because a lot of the pitchers that are walking a ton of guys probably aren't going to be in the rotation." It's going to be a little bit interesting if LSU does have to kind of tax the bullpen if they get short starts from Ianson and Shores because you start working deeper into that bullpen. I will say this. I thought this was kind of funny because I forgot he went to LSU. It's the Grant Fontenot Bowl as he's on LSU. I'd be shocked if he pitches, but maybe LSU will kind of get some magic. I went with Texas. I think everybody other than Andrew went with Texas. I think I might even. I'm not going to put this in our little like pickup.
Do it, Jake.
I really want to say Texas sweeps. Like the more I talked about it, and the more I dug
Longhorn
into it,
Jake is back, baby. Do it.
It feels like a Texas sweep.
I'm making the graphic, Andrew. You heard him say Texas sweep, right?
I heard Texas sweep.
Texas sweep.
I guess there is nothing to lose because you just get bonus points for picking the sweep.
I'll make sure to clip that one when we come back on Monday. So
I mean, Spencer's better than Anderson. Ianson walks a ton in the Texas. Ironson and Shores walk a ton in the Texas buzzsaw lineup. I think Texas rolls this weekend. I think that they win Friday close, and then Saturday and Sunday, it's like an 8-2.
Yeah, it's going to be whoever gets to their bullpen first because Texas, I mean, obviously we don't have an availability report. We don't know any update on Andre Duplanter. He left last night.
Our boy Logan Crow said he thinks he's going to be fine, but it'll be interesting. I actually saw that, by the way.
Yeah.
And then from a bullpen standpoint, Riojas and Bing, who are kind of their two biggest ones, they got really overtaxed. That's the one thing for me is it's going to be interesting. Oh, and I forgot, Aiden Moffett pitches for Texas too. So it's two guys that flip spots that have very similar roles. Mm-hmm. This Texas lineup's just too deep, I would say. There are too many guys that click and that can click. Obviously, the defense is going to have to get cleaned up a little bit. It seems like both Borba and Rodriguez would both rather DH than play third base. So maybe they can move Mendoza to third and then Borba back to second. But it's just a deep Texas lineup. It really is. It doesn't have any holes.
If Texas sweeps LSU, what does that mean about LSU? Because that's the first test again they've had.
That'll be they don't. Do we drop them out of the top 10? I know that sounds crazy, but
I would consider it honestly. I mean, their strength of schedule, Andrew, is almost 298.
Yeah,
I know that's It
like
feels
losing
like one of
the
those
series,
things
I don't think really tell. Like, I mean, they're gonna fall a little bit, I'm sure, but like I don't think that means LSU's bad. But if they get swept by Texas, I mean.
Because it feels weird to say this number 2 team losing to the number 17 warrants this far of a drop off, but it truly is the first test.
And again, like I mean, I don't want to crap on Mizzou, but if Mizzou is any other SEC team, they lose game 2 in that series this past weekend.
Yeah, I had a lot of LSU fans tell me that Missouri's decent. I have watched Missouri more than anybody should. They are not decent.
Jake is sick, guys. He actually watches Missouri baseball.
They have like 3 guys that I think could play at other SEC schools. And I don't. But here's the other thing: if Texas gets exposed this weekend at home and they get, lose 2 of 3, how far does Texas kind of fall? Because again, they've kind of been on cruise control since that week 1. Unfortunately, their Las Vegas trip just absolutely shit the bed. As Washington lost to a D3, Texas Tech, I just think is last. Actually, they won 3 straight in the Big 12, but they're not like I said. This just feels like it's the game of who are we going to over critique on Monday. But we'll go ahead and move on to the other ranked versus ranked matchup. The Georgia Bulldogs are heading not to Jacksonville, but to Gainesville for their 3-game matchup. It's going to be on Sunday. It's the lack of starting pitching for Georgia versus the reap what you sow injury boys of Florida. I don't know what to make of this series. I don't trust either of these teams to win games against quality opponents. Andrew, we'll start with you as I get the picks pulled up here. I went with Florida to sweep. Andrew went with Florida. Caleb went with Florida as well. Oh, we all went Florida. So none of us believe in Georgia, even though they're number 5 in D1's poll.
I'm not a big Georgia fan. I think this is the week that we finally see Georgia get exposed with facing decent starting pitching. And not this UF's starting pitching is not decent. It's phenomenal. Liam Peterson, Aiden King, and then we'll get a TBA on Sunday, probably be Clemente. They'll
maybe Billy Barlow.
Yeah. I think this is Georgia's first true test, and I think UF's going to expose them. I took UF to take 2 out of 3. I'm not confident in UF to sweep. I think their bullpen is really banged up. Menendez out for the year. I don't know what Sully might be thinking. The bats for UF, I think, are just going up and upward. I could see them sweep, but I'm going to stick with them going 2 out of 3. I just think Georgia's starting pitching is, unless they figured something out in this last week, I just don't see Georgia's starting pitching or their bullpen succeeding this week.
Yeah, you mentioned that in 23 games, Georgia has allowed over 3 runs in the first 3 innings 15 times. Again, Charlie Goldstein wasn't stretched out. Georgia can hit. I think they're the best hitting team in the SEC. I mean, they dropped 17 runs on a Kentucky team. I just think Florida shortens these games. I mean, Kevin O'Sullivan is a master class at coaching and shortening these games, saving the bullpen. I think that's what's going to happen. They're going to get him in a 6-4, 6-5 type of game. I mean, you're not beating Florida on Friday night, I would say, because they have the advantage. Saturday with Aiden King. Again, he's a freshman. When I talked to Kevin O'Sullivan, he was super, super excited that Aiden King was going to get a chance. I felt that they got even a little bit better. But, again, it'll be interesting to see how he does as a freshman. Michael, we'll go to you. How do you see these series playing out?
I mean, I'm a little more concerned now with all the Florida bullpen injuries that we kind of, again, we downplayed previously, if that plays any role into that. But again, I'm not completely sold on Georgia either. And I just think that, at the end of the day, going to Gainesville and winning a series in general is hard. So I still lean Florida. I think they're going to bounce back. Because, I mean, if Florida loses this weekend, I think there's a real, not obviously sky is falling, but to be 1-5 or 0-6 to start SEC play, not good. Not good.
I will say it gets a lot easier really quick as they have Ole Miss, Vanderbilt, Missouri, Mississippi State. So it's not like A&M Bandy where the loser is completely done. But I think this is going to be one where if they don't have their best stuff, they're going to kind of look back and be like, man, we should have won on Saturday with Aiden King. Micah, who do you think is your X factor for Florida? Who's got to be on their A game?
Man, can I just say the bullpen in general?
Yeah.
I feel like that's cheating, but I mean, it feels like the bullpen, right? There's so many guys that are going to have to step up in different roles. I don't know if there's one I circle because, I mean, again, right? It just feels like the bullpen. Again, I know it was a midweek, but like Florida's bullpen was the reason they beat Florida State in that midweek last week. Like genuinely, that bullpen looked incredible. They did an incredible job of limiting damage. Like Florida State was getting guys on, they just weren't doing anything with it. And so, but again, against Tennessee, right? Like it was kind of a disaster class. I mean, they get run rolled in that last game because the bullpen just completely falls apart. So I think, again, might be cheating. I'm not picking a single player, but I lean the Florida bullpen just in general.
Yeah, I think that's a pretty good one. I think that this will be another good litmus test for us in the SEC. We'll go ahead and move on to the South Carolina Gamecocks, who will head to the newly renovated L. Dale Mitchell Ballpark to take on your number 9 Oklahoma Sooners. Oh, wait, hold on. No, never mind. They will head to Baum Walker Stadium to take on the Arkansas Razorbacks. I was thinking about last weekend. South Carolina, I think, is a little bit of a paper tiger. They sit at 17-5. They are 1-4 or 1-5 against Power 5 teams. 2-5 against teams with winning records. Arkansas seems to be absolutely rolling right now. They dropped 16 today against Oral Roberts. They scored 12 in back-to-back games down in Ole Miss. Dare I say Arkansas's figured it out? Michael, we'll start with you. I think everybody unanimously went with Arkansas. How do you see this series playing out?
Well, I'm known Arkansas hater, so maybe I should switch my pick just because I ranked them 7th, and you would have thought I told everyone that Arkansas is the worst team in college baseball because I put them 7th, guys. I'm sorry. I'm really sorry, Arkansas fans. You know what? Last I checked, if you're in the top 8, that means you're probably predicted to go to Omaha, but my bad. I guess you guys stink, according to all the Arkansas fans that hate me, which is funny because I have them in my Omaha 8. But no, I mean, Arkansas just looks so good. I mean, again, I know it was a midweek game today, but I watched a lot of that ORU game when I was stuck in traffic. And I mean, they just look so good. Like the offense has just figured it out. I mean, the pitching staff, it's still got some things to improve on, but to think that they're not going to be able to limit damage and allow this offense to work. I mean, and again, right, Baum Walker is going to be rocking. And no disrespect to South Carolina, right? But we've talked about it. We're not really sure if South Carolina, again, I mean, they're not a bad team by any means. They're not an easy out, but they're one of the easier teams you're going to face in the SEC this year. They couldn't win a series at home against Oklahoma. I don't want to speak for you guys, but I think we all think Arkansas is better than Oklahoma, and you're going to Fayetteville. So, I mean, I don't know if I can't remember if I predicted a sweep, Jake, but I might end up switching it to a sweep in my end just because I do think that there's a better chance, in my opinion, Arkansas sweeps and South Carolina wins the series. So, like you said, let's go for some bonus points.
You did not clarify your sweeps, so I have no idea.
Gotcha.
I'll say this. I think the one thing the last 3-4 years with Arkansas to beat them, it feels like you don't necessarily luck into home runs, but you definitely kind of have those cheap ones that make it go from 2-0 to 5-0. South Carolina really struggles to hit extra base hits. Like they banged out 14 hits, I think, on Friday, and 11 of them were singles. Like they just single you to death. And against a team like Arkansas, I don't know what they're going to do with the Friday night, by the way, because Zach Root has been a stud on Saturday. They move him up into Friday, kind of gets banged around. Gabe Gackles kind of gotten banged around on Friday. They move him to Saturday, and he shoves. Maybe let's just do like an opener or something. Maybe they'll move Cheese up. South Carolina is still kind of working through a little bit of their pitching issues as Jake McCoy, Dylan Eskew are kind of working it down. South Carolina's quietly moved in a bunch of guys that we didn't think were going to start at the beginning of the year. I would say for me, if Arkansas can limit Ethan Petrie, I think the games could be very low stress. Obviously, it's the SEC, so nothing's ever low stress. Andrew, how do you see this series playing out?
When I sent in my picks, I just double checked. I thought I had Arkansas sweep. I think it's gonna be an Arkansas sweep. I'm starting to lose more and more confidence watching this South Carolina team. I was very high on them going into that Clemson series, and then just like I had Oklahoma to win last week, but I thought it was gonna be mostly like Oklahoma's pitching that like just dominated. But it was kind of a back and forth on Sunday. This offense, South Carolina's offense, I think we say Mississippi State's offense is boring. I think this South Carolina offense is even more boring.
Yeah,
You said it.
the one redeeming quality is they have Ethan Petrie, so I'll kind of save us there. But other than that, it's a very
it's not fun to watch them. I mean, Naraki and Nathan Hall, the two Clemson transfers. Nathan Hall's been phenomenal, but even then, it's like the stats just don't show it. It feels like, and then Naraki, he might not even be in the starting lineup when it comes out Friday. So
yeah, he didn't play on Sunday. That kind of shocked me a little bit too as well. I think the best way to describe the South Carolina team is they chased a starter after 9 pitches and lost. I think that's the perfect analogy for them. I think, honestly, though, it's South Carolina. Crazier things have happened. I will say this. They were absolutely terrible on the road under their last coach. So maybe Paul Maneri's kind of hyped him up to go on the road. I mean, we won't spend too much time on it just because I think, like we said, Arkansas is really, really good. We'll move on to another series. Kind of hinted at it accidentally. Mississippi State is headed to Dale Mitchell to take on the Oklahoma Sooners. It is the home opener for Oklahoma. Mississippi State sits at 14-7. Quietly A&M-esque. Oklahoma obviously didn't get the starting pitching from their 2 or 3 guys. I think that they bounce back. This feels like a must-win for Chris Lemonis' job. I always hate to say that, but Andrew, we'll go to you. How do you see this series playing out?
I see Oklahoma taking 2 out of 3. I don't see Mississippi State winning this series. I just think.
What day do they win?
Sunday salvage. I think the Witherspoon.
I don't know if they have
you
the
think
pitching
Stone Simon
for Sunday though.
Yeah, I could see Sunday. Well, so Cam Johnson, he threw yesterday. It might not be 100% him on Sunday. So
it's going to be him. They didn't throw that many pitches, I would say. I'd be shocked.
I just think, yeah, you said it. It's feeling like a must-win for Mississippi State now, and it's just we've harped on it all season already. How it's just been boring to watch. But yeah, I think Oklahoma takes 2 out of 3. I could see a sweep, but I'm sticking with 2 out of 3 for right now.
I think they win on Friday with Pico Con.
Do you give the advantage to Pico? Like if the Friday night guys, just 1v1. Do you lean Pico, Jake?
Here's the thing about my opinion of Pico Con. I feel like it's a lot like Ryan Prager, where every part of you is like, this guy should not be a Friday night guy in the SEC. He's going to be overmatched in every SEC game. And then he just absolutely dominates and shoves and outduels people. I would say that if Pico Kuhn, I feel like, gives Mississippi State the best chance to win. Yeah. I don't think he's better than Kyson. I will say this. Kyson hasn't pitched a bad outing this entire season. So maybe he's due. But then again, he's going to be a first rounder. So
yeah, this might be like his first. Or no, who did he throw against in Texas?
He threw
Minnesota,
and he shoved. He was.
That's not true. His second pitch of the game was hit over the left field wall, Jake, and then he shoved. But
this might be his first real.
I think he struck out 12.
Yeah,
he struck out 12.
It was incredible. But if
I don't know, I think the South Carolina lineup is better than Mississippi State. Is that weird to say?
Yeah.
Yeah, it feels weird, but
yeah.
I mean,
they have Ethan Petrie. Here's your question. I know that we'll kind of go back to South Carolina. If you picked up Ethan Petrie and dropped him on Clemson, Alabama, LSU, Texas, do you think he wins the Golden Spikes? Because I feel like people are talking about him being in the conversation, and he's on a terrible South Carolina team that's not going that far. And they always like to have people that are going to go to Omaha.
Yeah.
I do want to clarify. Terrible by SEC standards, just in case Micah wants to clip that.
If you put him on this LSU team, yes. If you put him on the LSU team, he'd
be running away with it, right?
Yeah, 100%. Jay Johnson.
But back to Oklahoma, Mississippi State. Yeah. Back to Oklahoma, Mississippi State. Mississippi State gets swept. Does Mississippi State start to have tough conversations? Micah, we'll go to you.
Conversations, yes. You don't pull the trigger yet, but conversations, yes.
Crazy things.
I mean,
Mississippi State has fired a coach in season before.
Technically, they wouldn't be ripping the Band-Aid off because Rice already did it.
Yeah, and they've already – well, granted, I think I'm going to take that back. They fired a coach for ethical reasons, not because he sucked.
But, I mean, like, I just don't know, like –
I don't think they get – here's the part that I think about Lemonis. I don't think they can get anybody better than Lemonis. Lemonis is a really fantastic coach.
I agree. I'm a big fan of Chris Lemonis. I don't think that like I think he gets too. And again, like I'm not Mississippi State fans. Come from my head. I don't care. I mean, I'm looking at my cowbell right now. I have a soft spot for Mississippi State, but like you're not a better job than LSU. Like, you're not poaching an LSU. You're not poaching a Texas. You're not poaching. I mean, I don't think they want Michael Early, but you're not poaching an A&M coach. Like, you're not a top 4 or 5 job in the SEC right now. So who are you getting that's better? You're not. I mean, I don't see like Link Jarrett's not leaving Florida State. That would be an upgrade. Eric Bakich has gotten so much investment from Clemson. I don't think he would like. I'm thinking of guys that would be upgrades from Chris Lemonis just off the top of my head. I don't think there's anyone.
Maybe Nebraska's coach.
I got one. Someone that used to be on his staff.
Carrick Johnson.
Nick Mingione at Kentucky.
Dude, he's not leaving Kentucky.
I don't think you leave Kentucky for Mississippi State.
No, I wouldn't.
You have the ability to do the same amount of stuff at Kentucky as you do Mississippi State. The ceiling's higher at Mississippi State, but the expectations are a lot higher. Like if Kentucky misses the NCAA tournament this year, I don't think that's going to happen. But let's say they do. Nobody's saying fire him immediately. He's gonna get a little bit of a warm seat. But if he misses the NCAA tournament, Mississippi
I don't even think his seat would get warm.
Like, huh?
I don't even think his seat would get warm.
Probably not. That's what I'm saying. No. Like, that's the realities. If I'm him, like, I would love the Kentucky job. You have good facilities. You get to recruit the SEC name. You have the ability to. I mean, clearly he can get to Omaha because he did it last year with them. Like, why would you go to a school where the expectations, like, again, it goes back to Jake, like what we've talked about with when the A&M job was open. Like, first-time head coaches, do you really want to be the head coach at Texas A&M where the expectations are so high that, like, it's hard to overcome, like, struggles? Where, again, in Kentucky, you can struggle a little bit. Like, yeah, people are happy at Kentucky right now that they're playing good baseball, and they're not even really doing that much of special things right now. Like, when we went to Omaha last year, it was, like, the greatest thing that's happened in Kentucky baseball in a very long time.
Ever. It was very sad.
Or, like, for the expectation of Mississippi State to be going to Omaha – darn every year.
Fired.
I mean,
host
like,
regional.
So the reason I think his name could pop up is because he's already been an assistant there. He has the track record there under
he did the walk-ons at Mississippi State, by the way. That was his role. So he wasn't like, it was a weird thing, by the way. He wasn't like he was an assistant there forever. It's so weird because I think 10 years ago when I was at Mississippi State, I would have thought it was the premier job.
Yeah.
I think I'll say this. Obviously, there's jobs that are worse, like University of Maryland, Eastern Shore. I would say it's the worst job in the SEC right now. With resources that they have from an NIL standpoint compared to some of these other schools, expectations. And here's the crazy part is Chris Lemonis has recruited this pretty good. Like, so he's going to be expected to recruit. Whoever gets this job is going to be expected to recruit at the same level that Chris Lemonis did. Like, Ross Heifeld behind the plate was like a highly, highly recruited catcher. I just don't know what Mississippi State does because it feels like they're kind of stuck in this purgatory where two steps forward, one step back, while some of these other schools like LSU, Texas with their new coaches are just worlds ahead of them from an NIL buy-in standpoint. But so we all have OU winning it pretty easily. We won't spend too much time talking about Chris Lemonis and his impending stuff. Micah, I'll let you pick. Do you want us to waste away Ole Miss, Missouri, or Auburn, Kentucky?
I think we end it with Auburn, Kentucky. That's
okay.
Just me.
So we'll go to Ole Miss, Missouri. Ole Miss is the only SEC team under 500 for now. There is one other one that could get it after this weekend. Ole Miss is 1-2 after dropping that series to Arkansas. I can be honest. I think this is the series that Missouri wins in the SEC.
Yeah, we talked about it a couple weeks ago when we thought like if there was a series that Mississippi, or not Mississippi, Missouri could win it. I think it could be this one, but the way that Ole Miss threw last week, their starters on Saturday and Sunday, I could see it. The way their offense hit, I don't see it.
Yeah, I'll say this. On paper, Ole Miss, like LSU, should boat race Missouri. But we've also seen what Mike Bianco has done post-national championship, and this feels like a Bianco masterclass, if you will. Mm-hmm. Micah, you got a lot of ridicule for your take on Missouri and them going to Omaha.
That was not for this year.
Your best friend plays for the Ole Miss Rebels. Is it kind of split allegiances for you? How do you see the series playing out?
Well, we won't say the name of a Division I baseball coach, but both of you have talked to him in recent times. Andrew, you may have spoke with him last night, and I've been told my Missouri take by this individual is absolutely terrible. So some Division I coach out there thinks that my take on Missouri having a chance, end quote, it's a better chance that Missouri finishes last in the SEC the next 3 years and goes to Omaha in the next 3 years. But that said, Jake, I mean, I had, again, when I did my preseason power rankings, I had Missouri above Ole Miss. And a big reason for that was I saw this series and had Missouri winning it. I mean, it's in Columbia. It's an opportunity, right, to get off on the right foot. And I mean, I wasn't very sold on Ole Miss. Their bats are still obviously kind of MIA for what we were like. Whatever we saw against Clemson that one day, Jake, that has not really made its appearance since.
Kind of. I will say there's like, I think signs of it. Like, but then also like they'll get in a 1-0 game with Eastern Kentucky.
But I mean,
this has got to be it, right? There's no other.
I mean, this is the best chance, but like it just feels like
it's at home.
I don't think. I mean, if Ole Miss beat Arkansas last weekend, maybe it's a look ahead.
That's what makes me think that Ole Miss is going to lose this game, is because everybody's
if Ole Miss starts the SEC play 2-4 or 1-5. I mean, they're probably not getting swept, but if they start at 2-4 with a weekend loss to Missouri, like Bianco's seat has to be on fire, right?
No. Every single person I've talked to has said that there's like no money because of how good Chris Beard is doing. So they don't want to fire Bianco.
I mean, first off, let me just be clear. I do not want his job. I think he's great. Like I'm just saying, like, I just know how SEC logic works. Like losing to Missouri would cause you to like, Ole Miss fans are clearly normal people. I mean, you should have seen all the stuff they said about the ACC during the college football playoff push. They're very normal, sane human beings. Let me tell you what. But Ole Miss fans are coming to my mentions. I just messed up, guys. R.I.P. me. But no, I mean, they're not. You know what? I'm gonna do it. Ole Miss sweeps. I'm out. Like I don't see it with Missouri.
Yeah, I know.
I'm going to believe, Jake, that the Ole Miss team that we saw in Arlington, I know that was week 1, that changed my entire perspective of what this team is capable of. I honestly thought the way they played against Arkansas this past weekend wasn't as bad as maybe it ended out looking, after
it was pretty good. They played pretty good on Friday.
Yeah, like I just think that the only thing I will say, have you guys checked the weather for Columbia? Because I know it's snowing in Nebraska right now. So, like, if it's going to be cold and 40, maybe I'll lean with the Missouri take on your end, Jake, because
hold on.
School, I don't want to
time out. I'm not picking Missouri. Don't go ahead.
You just said that. Did you, Andrew? Did you not hear him?
No. What I said is that if there's going to be a week that Missouri wins, it would be this week. I don't think that
it's the same thing as when Jake made all the A&M fans mad. He said that he meant one thing, but didn't say it that way. Well, so are we all? So we're all on.
I think Ole Miss
sweep.
Are we all Ole Miss sweeps?
Yeah, but
wait. You're Ole Miss sweeps and you're Ole Miss sweeps.
Yes.
But give me Mizzou. I'm not letting this happen. Like someone's gonna pick Mizzou.
So the thing with Missouri, I watched.
It's snowing by the way in Columbia.
Yep, give me Mizzou. Missouri
watched
2 out of
this-
3. Throw out everything I just said. Missouri wins this series. Missouri's so back. The Omaha run starts this weekend.
I watched this Missouri team on last Friday. I watched them in person Friday. Their bats weren't that bad. Their pitching.
No, don't give me that. Every LSU fan has been saying that. Don't give me that crap.
Their bats against Kate Anderson weren't that bad. And even we said it, or you guys said it. If that was any other SEC team, they probably take game 2 against Ianson.
They take game 1. If
They
they've
could've-
been normal Friday night guy in the way Kate Anderson pitched, they lose.
So Jay Johnson talked about that, how Ian Loesch has had success against LSU in the past, and then like this is their first time like beating Ian Loesch. So I'm still on Ole Miss. No snow's going to change me. Ole Miss is used to playing.
Snow never bothered them anyways.
Ole Miss is used to playing in the snow. Mitch Voigt might get.
Hey, I'm just saying, a hot toddy in Columbia might not be the worst
a hottie
idea.
toddy. And then our last series, the Auburn Tigers, fresh off their series victory over Vanderbilt, ranked number 16 in the D1 poll. I have them a little bit higher, heading to KPP to take on the Kentucky Wildcats. I believe I have Kentucky, but Micah, we'll start with you. How do you see the series playing out?
I'm in on Auburn, guys. I just think that they're a legitimate team, regardless of Ike Irish is in the lineup or not. I just think that they have a very underrated bullpen. I like their ability. They seem to find a way to get the clutch at bats. We saw that a little bit this past weekend in that Vanderbilt series, with the way they battled back on Sunday to win that game.
Mm-hmm.
So I think for me, I think they're playing with the chip on their shoulder too, with how last year went. I think there's just a lot of reasons to be excited. I'm not saying that Kentucky's not good, but I'm still my opinion on them is not really high at the moment. And I just don't know if Kentucky Proud Park's going to be rocking this early in the year. I know this is awful to say, but I know Kentucky fans don't really start to show up, until basketball season wraps up. And that's not a shot. That's just it's a basketball school. Nothing wrong with that.
They should be there Sunday then. So
I love that, Andrew. But from that standpoint, I think from that standpoint, I just think that it's one of those things where I think Auburn's going to take advantage of that. I don't see either team sweeping. I mean, I think it's really going to come down to that Sunday game. Mm-hmm. But I think if it comes down to that, again, seeing how Auburn battled back to beat Vandy on that Sunday, I just really like. And it's kind of funny because the Kentucky Georgia game kind of went in the opposite way, right? Kentucky kind of battled back, but then Georgia pulled away late in that Sunday. Or I don't know if that weather was messed up, if that was a Saturday, but game 3. So it was just, I think that Auburn, again, is a underrated team that I know people are starting to finally take notice, but I think more people need to start taking notice of what they are capable of being.
Yeah, I'm going to be honest. There's a lot of things about Auburn that I didn't like in the preseason that the opposite has happened. They're relying a ton on freshmen and Bob Terrell and who's the one that's just been an absolute stud for him? Chase Frey. Derek Fabian's hitting 380. Cooper McMurray's having, a Renaissance type year. Sam Dutton, who, Andrew, be honest with me, he wouldn't be in the LSU rotation, would he, in any way, shape, or form?
I don't think he would be throwing quality innings for LSU in general. I don't think he'd be in the bullpen.
He's their Friday guy. So every part of me is that Auburn shouldn't be that good, and yet they are. So I think if Auburn wins this series this weekend, I will be Auburn's number 1 fan. I think Kentucky does it just because I like the way that Nick McKay throws. I think that the lineup has a lot more thump than people give it credit for. Nick Kuntz, Tyler Bell, Luke Lawrence. I think Luke Lawrence is the best player no one's talking about. Give me the Kentucky Wildcats in 2 of 3. But, dude, I got to be honest. I don't think Auburn sweeps the series this entire year. There's going to be a 2 of 3 merchant, I feel like.
Yeah, I see them going 2 out of 3 too. I think they dropped Saturday with that. I don't know what they're doing with Cade Fisher. I think they're still trying to extend him, but just the way he's been throwing, it hasn't.
I think his velo's still down, by the way.
Yeah,
right?
you haven't been able to extend him long enough. So I like Auburn to take it with Dutton and then Chatterton on Sunday. If Chatterton's still on that Sunday spot, he struggled last week. But I mean, I think Auburn's bullpen's starting to like come into fruition. Andreas Alvarez, he kept them in that Sunday game to give them a chance. And then you talked about it, Jake, the way they've been hitting. Bubs Harrell, Chris Rembert, you didn't mention, but Chris Rembert's been phenomenal as well.
Yeah, Chris Rembert's been good. I will say this. Depending on when Ike Irish was actually injured, he said it was going to be a 10-day thing. So he might play Sunday if the timing lines up with how I think it's going to line up.
So they said it was a a scapula. So they said it was a back injury, but now they're saying it's a fractured shoulder injury. So
don't count on it, is what you're saying?
wait till tomorrow for that SEC availability report. See if
we'll see all of A&M's players out for the year. That always depresses the hell out of me.
Yeah, Gavin, Caden Sorrell, Josh
and
Stewart, Shane.
I think Stewie might play this weekend. Well, Sorrell might play, according to Micah.
Whoa. I'm just saying, seeing him warm up on Sunday was very interesting. So, Andrew, he was in full uniform playing catch. I mean, he wasn't like going full speed, but it was interesting to see because I don't know if anyone else is following what's been going on with him, but there's been reports that he was potentially going to be back for the Alabama series. Then it's been pushed back. I had someone telling me it's going to be a while for him.
That was a good source.
MRI happened last week. Like, I don't know what's going on with that. I don't know it sounds like it's really just up to pain tolerance at this point.
Well, if it says anything to the Gavin Guidry situation, he's been like he'll be warming up the same time that the LSU pitchers in full uniform. Making it look like he's available, but then Jay Johnson says it's a day-to-day thing. So,
yeah, I don't think he's thrown. By the way, because when we saw him in Houston, Micah, he wore like the thing that Gavin did, like their batting jacket. Yeah. Right. I don't think he threw.
He threw on Sunday. You talking about Sorrell or talking about Stewart?
Sorrell in Houston.
Yeah, I don't remember. I don't even remember really paying attention to what he was doing in Houston because I didn't expect him to be back. But obviously, it was weird to see him warming up on Sunday.
Yeah, it was weird. But I think that is all of our series. Just remember, it is only 8 now, up to 7 from last year. Thanks everybody for tuning in. We'll see you with me and Andrew to break it down on Monday. I hope everybody has a great night.
I'm not welcome to the breakdowns. I'm only allowed to the previews.
He actually is not. All joking aside, he's not welcome at the breakdowns. See everybody later.